Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Katie and today I'm going to do another book journaling video for you guys. This is going to be on another Ali Hazelwood book. I swear this is the last one for a while. I think the last 3 or 4 have been Ali Hazelwood books. I've just been reading through her back catalog. I love her books so much. But this is on her anthology. It's called Loathe to Love You. And it's basically a book with 3 mini novellas inside. Well, not mini novellas. A novella is just a mini story. But anyway, it's got 3 novellas in it. And yeah, I read it. So let's do this. So the stories take place after a set of 3 friends. They all kind of like you read them alone, but they're standalone stories, but they all, like, the characters know each other and stuff. So it's 3 girls. They've just graduated with their PhDs. They're going out into the workforce, and then they all, you know, find love, boom, 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 one after another, through contemporary rom-com style romance. And that's what we like. So the first book is Mara and Liam, and that takes place in Washington, D.C., so I printed a little skyline. And then we have Sadie and Eric in New York, and then lastly we have Hannah and Ian, which takes place like back when they're at college, but then it also takes place a little bit in Houston because they end up working at NASA. But the big bulk, like, important part of the story happens in, oh god, how do I say this? It's Norway. Svalbard, something like that. But anyway, I printed out the landscapes for each, and I'm going to use this with a little bit of pink paper to kind of create a background. And then I did print the covers of each book individually, as well as a little bit of fan art from each book. So we have Stuck With You. That's cute. They did a good job. This artist did. And then we have the second one. Wait, no, the first one's Under One Roof. I literally was like reading it wrong. Under One Roof. And then we have Stuck With You. And then we have Below Zero, which this fan art is just like a live, like, people version of the book, and it's very cute. I like that. So we'll be putting those in there, but we're going to start with a base. I like to do these spreads just like junk journal style, scrapbooky. I just kind of tear some paper and go from there. Sometimes I'll print out like a journaling kit, but basically it's just me finding a fun way to kind of remember the books that I've read. And these are on sticker paper, so I'm not sure how I want to do this. Do I want to keep these as big rectangles instead of like tearing them off? Maybe I do. Let's see. Let's map this out a little bit. Okay, so we put a little bit of pink. We could do, what is this? Sticker scraps from something. They're sticking to me. Oh, they're probably off my scissors. Okay, let's see. Do our Washington, D.C. And then maybe we do this one, and then this one. Something like that. Let's put down some pink first to have peeking out. This pink's a little bit bright, but by the time I get all my other stuff on top, I think it'll be just fine. So I'm gonna move this pretty far down, and I'm just using good old glue stick. Hi, baby. Our Gigi cat just came in here. She's our girl that's sick. She's doing really, really well lately, in case you guys are curious. As well as you can when you're terminally ill. But she's eating 3 meals a day, using the restroom. She still wants cuddles and pets. So, in our book, that's as good as she can possibly do. Okay. Got some pink down. Let's see what we can do with this. and this is going to be covered because I'm going to put, oops, sorry, I just kind of leaked on the page, but because I'm going to put quotes and stuff in here as well from each book. And I like to keep track of my stats, like how long the book was, what form I read it in, that kind of thing. Okay, so there is Washington, D.C. And now let's take our New York skyline. I tried to find pictures that had the same vibe, like the same color story, kind of. Oop. And let's do our New York skyline here. And now we'll do Norway. Svalbard. I don't know. Something like that. All right, let's talk about the books. So the first one was my least favorite. Coincidentally? Ironically? I don't know. Basically, the books got better in my opinion. The first one was my least favorite, and then the second, then the third was my favorite. So I don't know if that's just because I was starting to learn the characters a little bit and I was really getting into them, but I really do think the last one was the best. It's the one that I think about the most when I'm thinking back on this book. So first story is Mara and Liam. Basically what happened here is her PhD, I don't exactly know how it works, but her professor that like helped her, was like over her during her PhD studies. I'm not exactly sure how that works because I do not have a PhD, but her like reporting professor, the one that helps you and stuff and is on your committee and all that stuff, was basically the closest thing she had to family. She has no family. She's pretty lonely. She gets really close with her professor. So then when the professor dies, because she is old, she leaves Mara half of one of her houses in DC, which is coincidental because the company that she wants to work for is literally right up the street. She could walk to it. There's her base. I'm going to start mapping these out. And but she only owns half of it because the other half belongs to her nephew, who, let's see, what are they? Mara is environmentalist engineer, something like that. Very smart, but it has to do with like saving the environment kind of thing. Or maybe we should do hers down here because she's in Washington. So she moves into the house with him because they have to share it. Obviously, he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then, of course, they end up falling in love with each other. They spend the whole little novella bickering and arguing, but the more they come to know each other, the more that they realize that they have things in common. And she thinks the whole time that he hates her, but he really doesn't. He really thinks that she's gorgeous, and he's kind of pining after her. So eventually, they kind of start to get close, and they fall in love, as you do. One night she's talking on FaceTime with her friends, and she's like, I really wish he would just, take me and up against the sink and blah, 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 blah. But she's like ranting about it in like kind of like a mean way. And that's when he realizes, oh man, she likes me too. And so he makes a move, and then they fall in love. Really, the whole thing is them kind of just bickering back and forth. And then we move to the second novella. And when she's on FaceTime with her friends, it's the other girls in the other stories. So the second novella is Sadie and Eric. Basically, she is an engineer as well. Oh God, some kind of biosciences engineer. Again, cares about the earth. I don't know exactly what kind of engineer that would be. Anyway, sorry. There was a train. I had to stop what I was doing. So, okay, back to Sadie and Eric. So, they're both engineers. She obviously cares more about the environment because that's kind of her thing. And they meet. She's super superstitious. Very superstitious. Okay, that's what she is. And they meet because she is superstitious. Before she has a big speech or a big presentation, she likes to give... Horace, go on! My cat just jumped up. Anyway, she likes to obviously give her best and feel prepared, so she does the same routine every time she's going to give a presentation. So she likes to go to this shop and get this croissant, and she goes there. This dude already had the last croissant. She freaks out about it and she's going to leave without it, but he comes up and just gives it to her. So she's like, hey, thank you so much. And then she realizes, oh, hey, he works in my building. And they sit and get to talking, and then he's like, oh, hey, can I take you to dinner tonight? So they meet up, they have dinner, they have a fantastic time, they connect. He is Norwegian, I think. He's like very tall, blonde, sharp angles, has a little bit of a rough accent, and she's Italian, so she's got like short dark hair like this cute little picture. And they get along. They basically go back to his apartment and spend the whole night together, and he's smitten with her, very much so. She gets to work the next day and her boss is like, oh, I saw you were being chummy with so-and-so, like, please don't tell me that's why, because, you know, he's the reason we didn't get the so-and-so gig. And she's like, what? He's the reason? And it becomes this whole thing. And basically, he admired her so much, he sent out this email of her dissertation, and people on his team took those tips and put them into their presentation, and they stole a client out from underneath her because they basically gave her presentation but could offer better money, kind of thing. And so she was like, it's your fault, you sold me out basically, and blah blah blah. They end up getting stuck in an elevator together. So the whole story is told from bouncing back and forth. Current time, they're having conversations, figuring out what happened, flashing back to when they meet. It's like back and forth every other chapter. And then eventually he's like, wait, no, I admire you so much, we have to get together. And they work it out. It's a novella. It's not very long. It's not that detailed, but I liked their story. And then we have Below Zero. What happens here is our girl Hannah is the last of the three friends. She has to do some kind of interview of somebody somebody in the field that she wants to get into someday, because she's going for her doctorate. This is while she's in school. She meets Ian, who is like a second, third, 15th removed cousin of Mara, but they like barely know each other, and they kind of hook up during this little interview because they have so much chemistry, and she's super smart, and they're like coding together. It's like really cute. And she is probably the most estranged of the three girls. She is someone who didn't even really care about school, barely made it into any kind of grad school. And so I don't know, I just liked her story a lot. I liked her, like, her candor. And then they don't talk for years and years. Because she's like, no, I don't date, like, because she's afraid of commitment, basically. Like, it's a novella. Again, it's not like super deep. So yeah, we're more like this. So I can't talk and sticker at the same time. I'm really bad at it. Get down, Horace. Get down. And I'm also very bad at explaining these books. I realized when I watch my videos back, I'm like, ugh. But I'm doing it anyway. So anyway, she ends up getting a job at NASA, shows up and gets the exploration gig in Norway. And so she's got this fantastic idea. He says, no, it's too dangerous. And he is older than her, and he's been on the team for a long time. So he's able to like nix her plan. She finds out it was him who voted against her plan and goes around and goes anyway. And it ends up being really dangerous, and she almost dies because the guy that she goes with sucks. basically. So she almost freezes to death out in the tundra. And he goes all the way out there because he knows something bad is going to happen. And he saves her. And then they get together. It's a whole thing. All 3 girls are super smart. And, oh, what do the guys do? Do we even care? Liam's, okay, kind of. Because Mara is like a, you know, super environmental engineer type lady. And he is a lawyer who works for one of the firms that is, like, notably against saving the environment. But he ends up getting out of it. He only worked there because his mentor, who did a lot for him, ended up there. And so it was kind of like he owed him to follow him there to that company. And then, what did we say? Oh, they're both engineers. But old Blondie owns his own firm. So he has a lot more money to work with. And then they're both some kind of, what is she? She works like, she's not an engineer. She's not an earthy, save the earth type girly. She is like space and exploration, which is why she ends up at NASA. And her big experiment is finding a way for the rovers that end up like on Mars to continue to do their research and continue to collect data even through bad weather. So she's trying to come up with stuff to do that. Lots of coding, lots of sciencey stuff. Okay, let's put the quotes down. I've pulled out Rainbow Collection. This is just my big book of different colored boxes. And I think I'm going to pull yellow because there is quite a bit of yellow in here. Mainly because I would use pink, but I'm trying not to use all my pink stickers. And I feel like every single day I'm using my pink stickers for something. So let's use yellow. So let's do like, and we'll go up here to write about this one. And then maybe like here. I don't want to cover the Washington Monument because I feel like that's the only way that you know what it is. Okay, let me write the quotes in, then I'll share them with you. Okay, so from the first novella, we have, there's a scene where Liam walks in on Mara in the shower and sees her naked, and she's like, oh, don't worry, it's just me, your roommate that you don't like. I'm so sorry, I'm covering up. But before that, she's thinking she like is looking at through his bathroom, and he has black towels because he's very like cold, distant, where she's like warm sunshine, that kind of trope. And so she says, or she's thinking to herself, who uses black towels anyway? Who produces them? Where does he even buy them? Blood Bath and Beyond, which it made me cackle, so I put that in there. And then for Sadie and Eric, this quote is from Eric, and he is so smitten with her, but he's kind of like, he doesn't say it, but you can tell, and she's just kind of oblivious to it, but he's so smitten with her, and it's so sweet. And he says, I only knew you for 24 hours, but I've never missed anyone so much. Because they literally have like a 24-hour tryst, and then she thinks, oh, he betrayed me, so she like distances herself instantly. And just, oh, so sweet. And then Hannah, our belligerent girly, she says, caring what other people think is a lot of work. And with a handful of exceptions, I'm not a huge fan of work. Same girl, same. So, I liked that. That's a vibe. That's why I chose that quote. All right, let's put in my little stats. Y'all know I like to do this. All right, we need a star tracker. What color? What color, what color? A blue? Maybe a blue. Let's do a blue. This one was pretty good. I quite enjoyed this. I tore through it, I feel like. Each one. Like, I think it took me a couple days. Like, I read the first one, and then it took me a couple days, and then I read the second one in like one sitting, and then I read the third one in like an hour. So I went through them pretty quickly. All right, so we're going to scatter these about because I don't want to cover too much more of this pretty background. So we've got, I'm going to give it 4 stars. It's better than any other book that I've read this year, I think. Oh, you know what? I didn't leave myself space to journal. I didn't do it on this one either. That's okay, because I could put it in, but like, whatever. It's my reading journal, so I can do it however I want to. And then pages. I read this book. It was a hardcover that I got from my local library. Do we have a blue? I can do a yellow. Let's do a yellow. This one's a little, they're all kind of beat up because my cats go play outside in the catio and then they come in with their muddy paws, and if I have stickers sitting on my desk, which is my own fault, they step on them and they get kind of muddy, but it's okay. So let's put this one, I kind of like to do them together. I could do that. Let's do this here. Luna, come here. No ma'am, come here. This book had 368 pages, which is quite long for a novella. Well, it's 3 novellas. And then let's do, should we do yellow or blue? I like to mark how I read the book. So let's do the dark yellow, because we have one dark yellow and then maybe a blue. Maybe a dark blue. I like a dark blue. Okay, so let's do we can do that. And we're gonna put hardcover. Does it really matter? No, but I like to just, I like the stats. And this I read from January 7th through January 13th. There we go. Honestly, this one should have come first in the journal before Deep End, but anyway, but these are the 3 books that I read in January. We read Problematic Summer Romance, Deep End, and then Loathe to Love You, the anthology of novellas, all by Ali Hazelwood. So that is it for January. We can put in our January book in our reading bracket, and the winner is Loathe to Love You. Ooh. Which is a anthology with 3 novellas in it gonna be my book of the year? Absolutely not. It cannot be. We have to find better than that. But I catch myself thinking about that way more than I do these other 2 books, and they were good, but like, I don't know, I really liked the novellas. So there we go. That is it. This is the journal spread, and this is the end. Yeah, that's it. Now I'm starting to stutter. It's time to go. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. This was a good one. I do recommend this one. If you're into women in STEM, if you're into novellas, if you're into Ali Hazelwood, this is a good one. Or if you like any of the 3. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.